Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Michaela Peters. This is my morning edition. Well, they're always a morning edition. What the heck am I talking about? Okay, so my baby's in front of the TV. I'm a bad mommy. I never thought I was going to be this kind of person. But the way I justify it to myself is she's currently watching Russian TV, so it's okay. I was like, if I'm going to do Russian, I may as well start throwing like French and Spanish in there too. Like, why not? But yeah, so that's what she's doing right now, is watching TV. I'm trying to put away laundry. We're going to actually go to Pennsylvania for the weekend, so I'm not recording this weekend. Not that I usually record on the weekends anyway, because I like to take a break from this. It is still work making these videos, even though it's a relatively easier form of work. I'm like, it's self-expression, and I can say whatever I want, and I don't know. Sometimes I think about how weird it is that I have a YouTube channel, because, like, the weirder part of it is, like, people I know who watch it, and they have, like, a very different view of me because they watch my channel, because half of the stuff I'm saying on here I would never say face-to-face to somebody. Just in the sense that, like, I get, like, overstimulated by people's reactions to stuff, and, like, I say stuff that would cause reactions. I say in some inflammatory things, because, again, to quote Mr. Beast, inflammatory is what people want, so we're gonna keep doing that. I mean, yeah, but this morning in particular, I'm thinking more about, like, the trajectory of my career and my life and whatever, because unfortunately we live in a world where money is required, and I actually listened to a pretty interesting interview yesterday on YouTube. I think these people were Ukrainian, and they were these two young, they weren't young, they were like my age. Oh god, I'm not young anymore. And they were talking about growing up rich, and it was just, like, a really interesting experience, because it was very different than I grew up privileged, I didn't grow up rich. Like, there's a difference, because when you grow up rich, like, you're not taught to think about money in the same way. Like, I was, I think it's more of, I have privilege because I have a family who's, like, incredibly frugal to, like, a fault. Like, it's actually, like, kind of disgusting sometimes, and I don't even care if they hear me say that, because it's true. And I'm the same way. Like, I somehow adopted that. My mom hates that about me. It's fine. You know, we are who we are sometimes. Like, this is one of these things, not, like, good or bad. It just kind of, like, is a thing. Depends how you like to spend your money, too. This is a discussion we have all the time. But anyway, I bring this up because, you know, I was raised with a father who taught me that, like, life is about survival. And you do whatever you have to do to, like, financially provide for yourself, and you, like, be as frugal and as cheap as possible. And even when you're doing well financially, you're still telling yourself you're not. Sounds like a low self-esteem thing to me, but it's probably just trauma, because, like, he grew up legitimately with, like, nothing. And this is something that happens. And then I always kind of like to, like, laugh when we talk about this, because growing up poor in America is, like, please go to some other countries and redefine what you think poor is. It kind of gets back to, like, everything is relative. So, like, okay, yes. Anyway, the reason I'm, like, starting the discussion with this is because I've been thinking a lot more about, like, what I want to do for work. Now, I don't necessarily care so much about having so much money, but I care about having enough money to do certain things. There are things I like about living in an apartment. I did want to live in a house at some point, but I don't want to have to mow a lawn, and I don't want to have to, like, fix more home repair stuff. At least in an apartment, there are only so many things that can go wrong, you know? If it's bigger, you have more problems, so I don't really want that at this point. But as long as I can pay for, like, a place or two to live, and and also travel sometimes, I think that's, like, where I'm at. So as much as it would be, like, lovely to be like, yeah, lovely, I think this would be really purposeless and meaningless, let me just sit on welfare my whole life. No, I'm not going to do that. Right now it sucks because I'm in a position where I got laid off, and I'm very aware of how poor the job market is and what I've been working in. And so, like, right now I'm really trying to figure out, like, what the next steps are going to be, and, like, what long-term is going to look like for me. So I was thinking about whether it was appropriate to make this joke or not, but I'm getting a lot less caring what I'm saying, and probably that's bad, but I think that's just what happens as you get older sometimes. Not that I'm that old, but, you know, sometimes you just, like, really stop caring. I was never somebody who, like, liked to compete for stuff. And what I mean is, like, I actually was just thinking about this, like, I've never really, like, wanted an attractive man. And part of that is because I think that attractive men are too in demand, and therefore there's going to be too much competition, and I don't like competing, so I'm like, yeah, no. So I was like, that's why I go for, like, the nerdy guy who I at least get along with, who nobody else really wants, but I want them because they have something that I want, but I just am not really, I guess I'm just not shallow enough. And I was like, like the father of my child, because honestly, it's good luck to him. That's not very nice. I know it's not nice to say, and maybe I shouldn't even be saying that. But, like, my point is, there are, like, plenty of, like, nerdy people who, like, most women are not going to want, but I want those people, theoretically. Obviously not all of them. And right now one of the things I'm really working for is, working through is what I'm trying to say, is, like believing that not all men are gonna do something like what has happened to me, and it's a really hard false belief to overcome. Logically, this is a problem with beliefs, is, like, they're so emotional sometimes, and it's really hard to eradicate them, especially when you know they're dumb. So that's that. But the dating market is just one thing. Really, what I want to talk about is the job market. Now, the issue is, I studied something that was as technical as I could possibly study while still staying in business. Staying in the business major, because my dad decided that I was going to study business and my brother was going to study engineering. Ironically, my brother became a social worker, and I still want to be an engineer 15 years later. So I'm thinking more about, like, whether I should entertain that idea more, and it's like, well, why do you want to be an engineer? Because I'm starting to think more about, like, what my skills are, and I feel like I do have, like, good systems thinking, and I really wanted to do industrial engineering, which is, like, easier than some of the other engineerings. So, you know, I have a study right in Finland because of the fact that I'm a PhD student, so I can actually, like, legally take engineering classes, and I'm sort of thinking about doing that this fall, but I need to, like, get on that. So that's one of the things I've been thinking about, because, you know, I just casually looked it up on AI this morning, and it's like, yeah, like, the job market for what I was doing, like, data analytics analyst person, is, like, oversaturated at this point. I'm like, this is exactly why I studied this thing, because I thought there were going to be tons of opportunities. And now leadership is like, oh yeah, AI can just replace all these entry-level jobs. Okay, well, I was doing one of these entry-level jobs, and I was having AI do my job. Yes, can it do my job? Yes, but the problem with AI is you can't just believe everything that it tells you, and you have to fact-check it, and you still need somebody who knows how to fact-check it, and if you're hiring somebody who just knows how to use AI, I don't know. Like, I'm skeptical, and I'm not saying it can't be improved, and I'm not saying that, like, you can't eliminate these jobs. It's just that, like, I think they went real fast from being anti-AI, because I went to an AI conference in 2024 and came back and was basically saying this stuff. Not exactly that stuff, but that people are going to need to adapt. Like, they didn't even give us an opportunity to just start using AI in our job and, like, adapt our job. They're just like, nah, we're just getting rid of you and rack and stack. And, you know, whatever, I get it. Corporations do that. Yeah, but all the stupid automation stuff. I applied for a job at Amazon, like, I don't know, 2 days ago, like 3 days ago, and then 2 days later, they already rejected me. I'm like, did they even look at my application? Like, probably not. Like, probably went through an AI thing and it threw it out, and then they sent the auto email that you got rejected. So, I don't know. I'm just feeling very, like, you know, I remember my friend who told me, like, look, you were only 2 years into your education. If you want to be an engineer, it's better to switch now than to go through all of it, and then in the end realize you still want to be an engineer, and she's right. So, I don't know, but then again, you never know. Maybe I would have been a terrible engineer. Like, right now I'm in academia. Hey, I've still been able to pay my bills through a variety of scholarships and waitressing and a bunch of random crap throughout my life. So, you know, it's totally fine. Like, again, as long as I have a place to live and I'm not in major debt besides my mortgage, that's the biggest thing. Yeah, so, I don't know. I'm just, like, really annoyed with, like, what's going on with the job market right now, because, like, you're literally playing the lottery. Like, this reminds me of applying to random scholarships when I was in high school, and I'm like, wait, you, like, can't actually get any of these, and this is just, like, a waste of my time. It's like playing the actual lottery. The odds of you winning the actual lottery are, like, you have higher odds of being struck by lightning, you know? Apparently. And, like, that makes sense. So, and then that's kind of how it's a business, yes, because you are preying on people's desire to be rich without having to work hard, which is seldom how that actually works. Very seldom. So, I don't know. I'm just at this point where I'm like, okay, you know, where's the money going to be? Like, should I just jump ship with this stuff because these jobs are too competitive and I'm going to be playing the lottery and I'm like sick of playing the lottery at this point in my life? Or, do I completely transition to something else? Do I try to like focus more on academia and just get the PhD, maybe do some internships here and there? Maybe I can even do some internships that are like super irrelevant to what I've been doing. Like I'm really just trying to figure this out. And again, it's like, because anyway, the reason I brought up that interview at the beginning is because they kind of also had this idea of like, if you do what you love, you'll make money, which is the same thing the career counselor told me, which is like, you do your passion and you'll make money. Well, at that point, then I should have just been a psychologist, or I should have been an engineering psychologist. Surprisingly, some engineers are into psychology. Because I know those people. But anyway, I don't know. Like, I don't know what I'm going to do at this point. I'm going to pray for some divine intervention to guide me in the way that I should go. But, though, like, really, like, obviously, I'm not married. I'm not going to, like, sit around and just be a housewife. Like, I'm currently kind of sitting around because this is a transition phase, but, like, I'm not planning to do this. This is, like, not who I am, and I mean, I'm literally making a startup while I'm doing this. Speaking of which, that's what I should be doing. Maybe that's the answer. Maybe I just really invest in the startup and, like, that can become what I make money from. Because I at least enjoy doing it, right? Like, maybe I'm supposed to be an entrepreneur. I don't know. It's really interesting. I'm having, like, a midlife crisis, but this is totally the wrong age range for that. And it's too far past the quarter life. I did have the quarter life crisis. I think that was my 2 years in Finland as a master's student. That really felt like a crisis half the time, like every other week. What nobody really knows. No, I think I talk about that plenty. I woke up this morning thinking about like how many weird friend fallouts I had during those 2 years, and I'm not trying to relive that. I remember growing up, my grandmother said, "Don't get too close to anybody," and now I kind of know what she meant. Whatever, but this is all irrelevant. But yeah, so basically, because the competition currently in the field that I was in is so fierce, I'm like, what do I do here to like make myself more, I don't even know if marketable is the right word, but just like so that I don't have to compete to just get a job that pays me enough to do the things I want to do. Like, I'm not trying to be all grandiose here. I'm just trying to pay bills and live and be a productive, functioning member of society despite being autistic. Which, honestly, the easiest way to do that is be in an environment where pretty much everybody's an engineer. And I already know that because I used to work at NASA. Yeah, should I just go back to NASA? No, I don't want to live in Houston. It's way too hot there. What NASA centers are not somewhere hot? A lot of them are. Who decided that? Come on. I mean, there's one in Ohio. It's close to a lake. Maybe that could work. I don't know. I really love New Jersey, though. I'm such a New Jersey nationalist or statist or whatever I want to call myself. And I don't feel that way about a lot of things. But yeah, so that's going to be everything for today. So the point of this is, should I career transition? I was thinking to also maybe try to talk about like what my job search has been like, and like that could be kind of interesting, doing like a metrics thing on this. Like, okay, I applied for this job and I was rejected at this day. Yeah, I'll make a spreadsheet and talk about it, and that could be pretty interesting. Yeah, actually, that I feel like would get people watching it. So I'll think about that. Okay, well, it will also help me keep track for unemployment purposes, because they want you to show that you've been actually like, applying to jobs, which I have been, but I've also been applying to these other stupid programs. I just don't really like the instability right now at this point, which is probably why I just am in my house 90% of the time, because being in one location makes me feel stable. Which, why do I move around so much? Well, that's for people who have money, again. There's always limits and constraints, which you learn a lot when you're doing a lot of different analytics in your curriculum. Okay, until next time, bye.